All right. Sabine is a very independent, strong woman ahead of her time. Can you speak a little bit about the theme of female empowerment and how it's relevant to today's audience?
The role I play in A Little Chaos, Sabine is the name of her. She was a very unique person because she exists very much in a man's world, and that was something about her that I really admired, and I almost felt proud to represent that in playing her. She lives in a time where women really did not work, but it was something that she simply had to do. She didn't have a husband, therefore she didn't have any money. And gardening was something she knew how to do for money, as she says to another character in the story. And she's very brave. She's very avant-garde in the way that she thinks, really bohemian, extremely creative, and she does turn the tables. The men in this story really just think that she's a joke. They think she's a laughingstock initially. They have no respect for her whatsoever, and little by little she gradually turns them around, and they all are on her side in the end and support her and admire her, as did I in playing her. So it was really wonderful for me to play someone like that who was quite determined and passionate, but at the same time really very kind and honest and positive. You know, there was a freshness about Sabine that was really quite unique, I felt, and I really enjoyed all of those sides of her.
It's been a while since you've done a period piece. How did it feel to get back in the corset?
It's been about 15 years or more, I think, actually, since I have done a period film, and it was something that I was really excited about. I wanted to do this film partly because it was a period story, and I felt a little bit, for me almost, it was kind of back to basics a bit. You know, it isn't lots of special effects and, you know, fast pace and loud music. It's a story about people, and it's very gently told. It's extremely accessible. I felt the dialogue was very accessible just for myself, and I don't like that. When I read period stories, sometimes you think, really, what are they saying? And I think people are often very afraid of that. And that wasn't the case with this film at all. And I just was kind of relieved, you know. So it was wonderful being in a period film again, playing an English person again. Again, something I haven't done for quite a long time too. I played a lot of American roles in the last decade or so. And no, those were, you know, it was really fun to be able to tick those boxes.
You and Alan worked together on Sense and Sensibility. How was it to work with him again almost 20 years later, but this time him in the director's chair?
Working with Alan 20 years after having worked with him on Sense and Sensibility it really was very different, I have to say. You know, it was fantastic to experience working with him as a director, because I just didn't know what that was going to be like. He's really kind, he's very patient, and because he is an actor, of course, himself, you know, he has that level of empathy for what the actor goes through. You know, sometimes you do freak out and you think that you're rubbish and you're not going to be able to do it and you haven't got any new ideas that you've come up with that day, and he was really brilliant with everybody. But for me, you know, I've changed a lot since I was 19 years old on Sense and Sensibility, you know, both on and off the screen, you know, and I think I've definitely learned a lot about film acting and about filmmaking in general, and so to come into making A Little Chaos with a lot more confidence than I had as a 19-year-old, and to be encouraged to share my ideas, and very much included by Alan, was really, really fantastic, and it did make me feel much more his equal, I guess, than certainly I ever would have felt on Sense and Sensibility.
Do you have a green thumb of your own, and how much research did you have to put into this role, that portion of the role?
You know, I wish I could say that I loved gardening. I love gardens, and I love being in them, but I'm just not really very good at it. So it was. I did learn a lot, actually, because I did have to spend some time with a landscape architect who was absolutely wonderful and extremely helpful. So yeah, I learned as much as I could. You know, you've got to make it look as convincing as you can. And it did inspire me, actually, to go home and, you know, take my little herbs out of their little pot and really plant them in the garden. And, you know, luckily they've flourished and I cook with them every day. In fact, it's a little bit of a jungle at the moment, but I'm still not really much of a gardener, sorry to say.
And lastly, what drew you to this project and the role of Sabine?
You know, there were many things, I think, that drew me to this project. In particular, the script and how beautiful it was, and as I said before, how accessible the dialogue really did feel. And I just wanted to be a part of something that felt like a bit of a breath of fresh air. You know, it was just like, you know, these lovely characters in a really very beautiful, honest story, beautifully written script, working with great actors, you know. I mean, that is the actor's dream. And with a director like Alan Rickman, it was just tremendously exciting for me, and we really had a lot of fun. Plus, it was a British film. I haven't worked in the UK for a long time, and you know, it didn't disappoint. It rained, it was muddy, you know, we had to scramble, we had to rally, we had a lot to shoot in each day, lots of great fun people who were, you know, very supportive and, you know, up for it, and it was a really great experience.
Great, it was lovely. I loved the film.